Where in the world can you eat soup with your hands? And welcome back to Cliffieland. This is weekend country number 135 on our second attempt of cooking the food of every single country in the world. And tonight we're up to the nation of Paraguay. Paraguay, one of two landlocked nations in South America, is bordered by Argentina, Bolivia, and Brazil, and its food is a delightful combination of the food of the indigenous Guarani people as well as the former Spanish colonizers. You'll find lots of dishes involving cassava and corn, as well as locally grown fruits and vegetables, river fish, and beef. And one of the other features is that owing to a disastrous war where about 50% of the pre-war population died, a lot of German and Italian immigrants came in the 20th century, and that also brought in a lot of their dishes, which were incorporated into the Paraguayan menu, and we're going to see that tonight. Now, before we go a little further with this, we need to see how things went when we tried this whole thing last time around. Well, 4 years ago on the Global Cooking Challenge, I was able to cook and stream over 2 nights, and the first night we did sort of a meat and rice dish, which in this case was served in a pie shell, and my mistake was that I hadn't baked the pie shell first. Now that came out rather nicely, but we're not doing it tonight, and neither are we doing the other thing we did that night, which is called chipas. Chipas is sort of a Paraguayan bagel, specifically eaten around Easter time, and ironically it was Easter when we cooked this. It's generally made with cassava flour and anise seed, which gives it a strong licorice flavor. We rather liked it, gave leftovers to the folks, and that kind of made them sneeze, but it was a pretty good dish. And it was so good I wound up using some of that leftover cassava flour a little bit later to make some more. But like I said, we're not doing those tonight. What we are doing is what I cooked and streamed on the second night, which is the national dish of Paraguay, which is a Sopa Paraguaya, which literally means Paraguayan soup, even though it's not a soup. It's like solid. It is a cheesy cornbread. And don't ask me why it's called sopa. Now that came out rather well, although I probably made one little mistake in that it came out a little more like a quiche than a cornbread. And we're gonna fix that this time. And we served that with one of those Italian imports, a Milanesa, or basically a deep fried, chicken fried steak, to use an American term. But that came out okay, and we're gonna do that one again this time as well. All that being said, we need to see what go into tonight's 2 dishes. First, for our Sopa Paraguaya, or Paraguayan cheesy cornbread, we'll need 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1 onion diced, 1 red or green bell pepper diced, 3 cups of cornmeal, medium grind, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of salt, pepper to taste, 2 cups of milk, 1 cup of cottage cheese, 4 large eggs, 1 pound of frozen corn kernels thawed, about 3 cups of corn, and 2 cups of Monterey or pepper jack cheese grated. And then for our Milanesa, or South American style breaded steak, we'll need 2 pounds of beef, you can use round steak or loin or something else, salt and pepper to taste, optionally garlic, 2 eggs, a 1/4 cup of chopped parsley, a 1/2 cup of milk, 1 cup of flour, a 1/2 cup of fine breadcrumbs, and oil for frying. Well, that looks really good, and a bonus is that there isn't a whole lot of prep, so we gotta get cooking.
In a skillet, heat the butter over medium heat. Add the onion and pepper and saute until soft and beginning to turn golden, about 10 minutes. Set aside to cool. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and butter a 9 by 11 inch baking pan. Then, in a large bowl, place cornmeal, baking powder, salt, and pepper, and whisk it together. Then add in the milk, cottage cheese, and eggs. Stir to combine, and when smooth, mix in the cooled onion mixture, corn, and the cheese. Mix well. Place the mixture in a buttered baking pan and bake for 45 minutes to 1 hour or until firm to the touch and an inserted toothpick comes out clean. Cut the meat into thin slices and pound each side flat and thin. Season with salt and pepper, then in a bowl beat the eggs and add the milk, parsley, and garlic if using. Mix well. Set up 3 bowls with the flour, the mixture, and the breadcrumbs. Heat 2 inches of oil in a skillet over medium heat. Dip the meat first into the flour, then the egg mixture, and then the breadcrumbs, and fry until golden brown. Turn and brown the other side. Only about 10 minutes are needed for the thinly cut meat. Remove and keep hot while frying the remaining pieces. Take the sopa out of the oven and let it cool a few minutes. Cut the sopa into squares and plate the servings. Plate servings of the steak alongside, and optionally dress with lemon wedges.
Well, it was really tasty, and boy was there a lot of food. I mean, we're gonna have lots of leftovers here. Not to say that it wasn't great. Let's start out with that Milanesa. It was probably not the prettiest thing I've ever cooked, but it was very tasty. The meat was cooked nicely, it was seasoned well, which is important. It had those nice flavors of the parsley and the garlic, which, like I said, is optional, but it was really good. And we served that with a little bit of a lemon wedge on the side, which gave it a nice kick of acid, which I think it really needed. It was really delicious. I'm gonna give the Milanesa 4 out of 5 globes. Incredibly simple dish. As for that Sopa Paraguaya, that was another pleasant surprise. I had read the reviews of this before, and I knew that it was really great, and last time I thought it was pretty good, but this time it was even better. It did have that texture and flavor of the cornbread, as well as the delicious cheesiness of the Monterey Jack cheese, with a little bit of the jalapeno pepper kick, which is part of the pepper jack cheese that we wound up using. But it was really delicious. I'm gonna give the Sopa Paraguaya 4 out of 5 globes. Super great, lots of leftovers. If you're gonna go to a potluck, if you're gonna have lots of people over, lots of people to serve, make sure you try that at home because it's really great. So that does it for tonight's little stint here in Paraguay, but we're gonna stay in South America next week when we cross the Andes to the other side of the continent to have the food of Peru. See you then. And remember, if you'd like to see our streams live when they happen, follow us on Periscope or Facebook Live. Like and subscribe to be advised when these videos are posted. If you have any thoughtful feelings or helpful suggestions about the food that we're cooking, sound off in the comments. Remember, links to the original recipes, remember these aren't my recipes, are found in the About section. And tune in next time. Thanks for watching and happy eating!